Hello and welcome, Arsenal Nation, to our next segment, which is a topic, of course, near and dear to everyone's heart in biopharma and medtech. And that is that we're going to have a discussion around a very raw and unfiltered discussion on how to break barriers and hire top talent. Also, we're going to have an update on some opportunities out there that may be flying under the radar. So, walking us through this opportunity today is a company whose leaders and co-founders are going to join us from a women-owned biotech recruiting firm known as Blue Jean Search. So, co-founders Yafa Grace and Ronith Dunn. On behalf of Arsenal Advisors, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Eric. We're so happy to be here.
So, to kick off our discussion, and thank you, ladies, for joining us during the lunch hour, and hopefully we're going to have a robust crowd joining us to check in. Hi, Ronith.
Sure. So, I hope so too.
Yeah, likewise. So I think just to kick off the discussion, you all have a really compelling story. Can you share with the audience what inspired you to start Blue Jean Search? We'll start with Yafa.
Sure. So Blue Jean Search really came together after Ronith and I had partnered on multiple projects. And we really found that we were more excited about collaboration over competition. And we saw a need where we could come together synergistically and do a lot more. So Blue Jean Search is all about helping startups build their companies from the top down. So from C-suite to leadership in all sorts of different disciplines. And, we're really interested in partnering with companies in that partnership level and getting in and learning about companies to build the organization. And so we both came to this industry and stay in this industry because of our own, kind of brushes with health issues. I'm a kidney cancer survivor. In August, I'll be 8 years cancer-free. And that's really why I stay in this game, because I know the difference that healthcare and treatments can make in a patient's life and family's life. I mean, I'm so grateful to be here, to be a mother of 4. And I just am super passionate about helping companies that are helping patients, that are making a true difference. And that's why, in particular, rare disease, oncology, and gene therapy is a strong interest of ours. And, Ronith has a kind of a similar story, and I'll let her share that.
Thank you, Yafa. Ronith.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Can everybody hear me?
Yeah.
The streaming is terrible with me. Well, hopefully you can hear me. So yes, Yaf and I came together for we're very similar in our the way that we recruit a lot of things, and me having MS and the passion with being in the rare disease space. It's not or unique candidates. So, Yaffa, can you hear me?
Yes. So you were breaking up and having some tech challenges. So I'll just probably reiterate what you were saying. The other thing that is really cool about Ronith and I coming together is she's headquartered on the East Coast. I'm headquartered on the West Coast. And so you have, biotech, for lack of hubs on both the East and the West. So, we're great in terms of covering the whole nation. And then Ronith has been an MS warrior for, I think, almost half her life. And I mean, she's so passionate about, that space in particular. And just as a true example of, someone who can thrive even though there's a chronic disease. And so, that's again why we're so passionate about this industry.
Wow, thank you, Yafa and Ronith. You've clearly are kind of living the example you're helping to set for, I know, candidates aspiring to go fight the good fight in rare diseases and smaller companies and biotechs and things like that. So we'll kind of pivot to the next part of the kind of the wheelhouse of what Blue Gene Search offers their clients. Inquiring minds want to know, Yafa and Ronith, in your experience, in the new era we've entered with virtual interviewing, what are some best practices you have observed that have separated Blue Gene Search candidates from the pack?
So I think, everyone asks that questions. And once you get beyond the tech challenges, that's first and foremost is being prepared with the tech. But outside of that, it's really getting back to basics and what's always separated candidates, and that's preparation. Preparation twofold. One, on the company, being prepared in terms of your research on the company. I mean, you don't ever just sit in your seat and just wing it, you have to be prepared. But I always advise my candidates to take a deeper dive, especially as they go through the process in, going to the science. There's so much you can learn from the science of it, like going to the studies, going to, the PIs if there's a PI already, and kind of, I guess, starting there, because there's so many ways a candidate can separate themselves if they truly understand not just the science, but the market. And then from there, it's really being an expert in yourself and what you bring to the table and how you offer a solution. It's not, it's like going into a provider's office. You're not just like dumping the science. You're truly asking questions, and you're understanding, where is this hiring manager coming from? Where is the company coming from? What are their objectives? So asking the questions so then you can position yourself. And that's everything. It's the candidate who, comes with their value prop to that particular hiring manager that makes all the difference.
Absolutely, and I can just chime in on that topic. It is a kind of a marvelous thing when you're interviewing a candidate and they show up, not just knowing a lot about your company, but also curious. I've been a part of some wonderful interviews where the candidate, I felt like it was less an interview, where it was more a conversation, and the candidate was checking in with me and demonstrating curiosity, and not really, kind of putting on, airs, if you will, that they know it all about your company. And I can tell you that is a very dynamic quality to bring to an interview process.
And that is actually a really great point. I love that, because curiosity is key. The interview is always a two-sided process. Candidates are evaluating the opportunities just as much as hiring managers are evaluating the candidates. And, I always tell people, just be yourself. Because that's when you're going to be the most comfortable. That's when you're going to shine. Don't worry about being perfect or having the pat answer. It really is about, being yourself, because people want to hire people, especially at the startup phase. They want to know you can roll and wear multiple hats and roll up your sleeves. And that comes across if you are yourself and if you are having conversations. I think gone are the days where big pharma hiring managers, well, maybe it's still the case of big pharma. I don't work with big pharma, but you have your interview binder with the set questions out. There still has to be a level of consistency because of, HR and all that. But I mean, it's all about being yourself. And I would say that on the hiring manager side too.
Absolutely. I mean, there's no doubt about that.
I
Ronith, do
agree.
you have anything to add?
Such
Well,
a
I'm having a little problems with streaming on the technical side, so I'm just afraid you aren't going to be hearing me. But I agree with that 100%. You have to come in there being yourself. Don't pretend to be somebody different. It's important to really show who you are, and the company does the same exact, because they're not ready to come in and answers to come in. We have to make sure it's the right action with yourself and the company.
Absolutely, and I think we'll help Ronith out. We're having some technical challenges, Ronith.
Right.
But I think one of the things she was getting at as well, and Yafa, you touched on this earlier, is the importance of your authenticity and sort of kind of owning you, if you will, as you come into the process. And there's a really cool theme around the name of your company, Blue Jean. Can you tell the audience about that?
Yeah, so I mean, Blue Jean, we're thinking about like the companies we like partnering with, and you know, they are the startup companies. And when you think about like, I mean, Silicon Valley, more casual and stuff like that, but you know, everyone loves when you get a good pair of jeans. I mean, you could wear them every day sometimes, and you just feel so comfortable. And for us, it was all about working with companies and finding the right fit. And when you get that right fit, I mean, you know, just as a woman, and you have the best pair of jeans and you feel confident. And so it was kind of a play on that, but also obviously gene therapy and the way the future of medicine and treatment. So it was that combo.
I just absolutely love that component of your story. And that component of your story, I mean, it's so relevant to the hiring process and finding that right fit. And I look at what you all specialize in at Blue Jean, which is, it's my understanding, it's your recruiting for startups, rare disease, and oncology opportunities. Is there anything in particular that candidates should consider and prepare for when pursuing these opportunities?
I will take that. Renith we'll figure out if your streaming is online. But so I think a couple of things to consider. Everyone says they want to start up because they think it's like, you know, for lack of a better word, like sexy startups, but probably not the best word. But anyways, but startups are, I mean, they are no joke. And so not everyone has the personality or the experience necessarily to be in a startup. So you really, I think from a candidate perspective, really need to think about, okay, are you someone who can work in an environment where, you know, pretty much you have to find the answers. You have to, you know, wear a million different hats, and you're not going to have layers and layers and layers of support, resources. And typically, I mean, especially in rare disease, like you're going to have much bigger territories, and I'm talking at the sales level, and, you know, the same at the C-suite or the leadership levels. I mean, you know, you're working harder, you're working longer, and you're working on multiple different, you know, projects, initiatives at once. I mean, it's challenging. It's challenging. So that's one thing, to make sure you have the wherewithal for a startup. And, you know, the other thing is, I think experience in the space is really important, or focusing on leverageable skill sets. That's another thing that's super important.
Are there any leverageable skill sets in particular that stand out to you that people let's say are trying to kind of crack through or make the breakthrough into the rare disease or small pharma space, startup space, if you will?
Well, so I could take that on a couple different levels. If you come from a larger company and you're looking to go into that startup phase, then really being able to demonstrate how you've worn different hats, what different projects you've worked through. You know, maybe you're in the field, but you've worked on market access or marketing initiatives, or you've led a big committee to pull through some of the business objectives. So that's definitely, I mean, it's almost like you have to treat yourself as a case study and create little case studies to highlight that. And then, you know, if we're talking about field representatives, it's all about pull through. It's at the end of the day, it's about getting the patient on therapy. So what have you done? Have you pulled in, like, have you done, you know, multiple, I guess, who else have you worked with? Because we all know the price tag of rare disease, of gene therapy. I mean, we're talking about millions of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars per treatment. And so it's not just about calling on a provider. It's about bringing in value, you know, making sure the patient has a case manager, specialty pharmacy, all of that. So there's so much pull through involved, and being able to share stories and demonstrate that. I mean, it's about storytelling.
Absolutely. And I know there's real power in storytelling. And I think part of the goal of this session is for us to sort of reimagine our approach to that. So on the hiring side,
tell us your experience. I mean, you've hired a ton of people. You've probably sat through hundreds of interviews. I'd love to hear from you what you think makes a difference.
Thanks, Yaf. I'd be happy to take that on. I can tell you that for years, I would sort of execute that sort of HR-driven strategy of the kind of retrospective analysis of like certain core behaviors the company was looking for. And the advantage of that old system was like there was great consistency in that. You would pick out certain questions and certain things before the interview and sort of evenly apply that out. But here's the challenge, and here's the insight that really I've only experienced within the past year. I found that the retrospective analysis of what people have done in the past was sort of creating this sort of artificial sort of interview process where people would be very good at answering those questions and be very practiced in it, but it wasn't really providing me enough insight into how they would fit, how they actually think proactively to problem solve. So I made one real subtle change while still aligning to the company's behaviors they're looking at. I went from the tell me about a time when ... question. All I did was I switched that to what if questions.
Love that.
And not only did I switch it to what if questions, what I did was I would ask what if questions that I knew they were going to have to deal with when they were moving into my sales team.
Okay.
So, and I tell you what, it was for some of the candidates, it was super unnerving in the sense that they're kind of like, whoa, I've never had an interview like this before. And some of them, you know, it actually opened my mind to, you know, people were able to demonstrate. What it really does is it forces the brain to simulate, to thinking about different versions of the future.
Yeah.
So it's more of a sort of forward leaning and just showing up as that most authentic version of yourself. I found that, you know, it really improved that process and gave me a better sense of finding the right person for the team.
Well, and I think we're seeing that. Well, and that's key for startups for sure, because there is so much unknown. Because the company's building, it's unfolding, especially in a launch situation. Um, but I think, what I'd like to see happen more and more, and I think we will start seeing this, is a balance between hiring on, experience and proven track record
Yes.
versus potential. Because, I mean, that's where the gold, that's where the diamond in the roughs are found.
Absolutely, Yafa. I think you hit the nail on the head. And if there's one emerging piece that's come out of this for me is people talk a lot about IQ, right? They talk a lot about EQ. But I really believe that there's tremendous value in the adaptability quotient. In other words,
Yeah.
really measure and examine how well a person reacts to the inevitability of change. It really, in my opinion, is a form of its own intelligence, because let's face it, the world is speeding up, and, we really need people that are comfortable, in managing that uncertainty. And this discussion really, was kind of refreshing for me. So any other comments, Yafa?
Well, I think, just in speaking about the future and how things are changing so quickly, I mean, COVID changed the game on everyone. So it's kind of like a level playing field because everyone's gone through the same challenges in this past year, and we'll continue to go through more. And so I think, going back to when we were discussing interviewing on both sides, it's important to share those stories from a company's perspective too, because candidates want to know how they were valued, how they were taken care of, or would be taken care of in a scenario like this. And so, it's really, really, really important when companies are trying to attract the best talent and build out their team that they're also sharing authentically, how they've taken care of their people, how they'll continue to take care of their people in these times of uncertainty. And just like as an aside, just because it's a really big thing for me and Ronith, is that, we hear a lot about ghosting of candidates, and that's just top of mind. I mean, I think companies have a tremendous opportunity and responsibility. If a candidate is going to take their time to invest in the research of your company and take their time to sit down, then there's a responsibility of a company and hiring managers to not ghost these candidates and to have respect. I mean, the candidate experience is critical, and the companies that get that right are going to get the best people.
I'm back, guys. Can you hear me?
Yes. So that's just something I wanted to add. Brittany, do you have any?
I was trying to listen. No, I agree with that. I think that the most important piece is that both the company as well as the candidate treat each other with respect. And there's many times that we hear, like Yafa had mentioned, that the candidate was ghosted, and it's not good. So we try as the outside recruiters, trying to make the process more smoother and better for everybody.
Well, there's so much value in that. And thank you, Ronith and Yafa, for sharing your insights into how we can all show up better in this process, both on the hiring side and for people, pursuing these opportunities in these events. So how can our audience get in touch with you all?
So everyone can visit our website, which is bluejeansearch.com. And there's a section for both companies and job seekers. We have a job board listed. We have a newsletter. So head on over to Blue Jean Search and sign up.
Yeah, you'll get a weekly newsletter about recent openings too. And I know that that's something that we all want to hear about.
Excellent. Well, on behalf of Arsenal Advisors, thank you, Blue Jean Search, for your insights today. And we're going to wrap things up and head into the next session.
Thank you so much. Sorry about my technical difficulties.
It's all good.
All right, guys. Thank you.